Hey RT Nation, I am really thrilled to be here with Karen Deitemeyer, and I'll let Karen introduce herself, but she has an amazing story, and we look forward to sharing this with you, okay? Karen, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you for inviting me to speak with you. I appreciate it very much.
Well, so why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you do and kind of what your role is?
Okay, well, I am here at the FSRC Sunshine Seminar as a patient advocate for Breathe Strong, Florida.
Okay.
I also am an advocate for the American Lung Association, for the COPD Foundation. I sit on the boards of a couple entities, the US COPD Coalition, the COPD Foundation's PPRN, Patient Powered Research Network, and I may have forgotten one, which would be terrible. The American Lung Association's Airways Clinical Research Centers. There is a board of patients, COPD patients, also asthma patients. So I do this because what's the alternative? You know, sitting at home, waiting to die, watching daytime TV.
You're right.
And that's not me.
Well, and so obviously it is very obvious in talking with you that you have a very close connection to all of these groups. So why don't you share a little bit more backstory about you and your life and what you have also?
Okay. Well, I was a 30-year smoker. I started at age 15. I quit when my PCP, after 30 years, said if I didn't, that I had the beginnings of emphysema.
Okay.
If I didn't quit, I'd be on oxygen very soon.
Okay.
So I went to a psychotherapist who used hypnotherapy in his practice, and I was able to quit. 10 years later, I was referred to a pulmonologist because over those 10 years, I had slowed down.
Okay.
I couldn't walk couldn't climb stairs, breathless, but I attributed it to being a little bit overweight, being older, never exercising. I hated exercise. I hated it then, I hated it now, but I do it now, right? So I was referred to a pulmonologist. I was diagnosed with COPD, didn't even know what it was.
Okay.
I was very angry, very depressed.
Understood.
But then I realized I had a choice to make, and the choice I made was to learn everything I could about it. This was back in 2001. There was very little support for COPD patients.
Okay.
I went online, I found a couple of groups, patients helping patients. Then a few years later, my pulmonologist referred me to pulmonary rehab.
Okay.
And I really am so happy that I went. There were 3 RTs who facilitated the program that I went to.
Okay.
It was Celebration Health in Celebration, Florida.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm allowed to name
No,
them.
yeah.
Diane and Jeff and Patty.
Oh, wow.
And I will never forget them. I probably will never forget walking in that room and seeing all the equipment,
Yeah.
the torture machines, and thinking, you're out of here at 11. I'm not going to do this. I can't do this.
Right.
Well, I did do it. And they made me want to do it. And it wasn't just the exercise, it was the education.
Okay. Yeah.
You guys educated me. I understood then my disease. I understood ways to live with it. I understood about medications.
Okay.
All these things. And it all started with respiratory therapists.
That's awesome. And you know, you kind of touched on 2 things. You kind of hinted, or you kind of spoke to the fact that you'd smoked for 30 years, right?
Yep.
And then and so kind of talk to me about, you know, stigmas associated with COPD, and maybe that even kind of leads to why there's not as much research and support for it. So expound on that point.
Yeah. Although only 80% of patients with COPD were smokers, most physicians, at least back then, I'm hoping it's changed a little bit recently, but most physicians just assume you smoke. Well, you deserve it. You smoked all those years. Well, people with diabetes aren't treated like you deserve it. People with cardiac conditions aren't treated, you deserve it.
Sure.
You know, but the COPD population was. But also, there's another statistic.
Okay.
Only 20% of smokers get COPD. So why? What is it? It's genetic. It has to be genetic.
Okay.
And we know there's the alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency genetic form of COPD, but there's got to be others out there.
Okay.
And so we need the research. We need the funding. Right now, COPD is third in deaths in the
Okay.
nation.
Right.
It's fourth if you count medical errors, and that's a little bit scary.
Right.
That medical errors are that high up.
Yeah.
But if you leave them out, it's number 3.
Okay.
It's second in disability, causing people to not be able to work.
Yes. Yeah.
It's, the last figure I heard is it's 154th in funding for research.
Huge disparity.
Tremendous disparity. And we COPD patients, along with the RTs who take care of us, we've got to get out there. We have to advocate. We have to let people know we're here.
Wow.
The AIDS population did.
Yes.
And they had celebrities, they had people, you know, cheering them on, saying, we're gonna do something. Well, we're older, most of us, you know, we can't get out there and march quite as readily as the younger population can,
Right.
but we still got to be visible,
Yes. Yes. And so,
got to be.
you know, certainly for me, one of my passions right now is the advocacy side of things.
Yeah.
And the AARC and the FSRC are huge on that. And why don't you speak to what you know in regard to advocacy and its importance overall in this cause, in trying to find both resource for research and for us to better support our patients that already have COPD?
Wow, big question. Okay, as far as advocating for more research, for more recognition, RTs and patients, we all need to approach our elected officials. They need to understand how debilitating this disease is. They need to understand that they are losing productive citizens.
Yes.
You know, there are things though that have already been done.
Okay.
Advocates have managed to get the FAA to approve portable oxygen concentrators on airplanes.
Okay.
Because canisters are not allowed, liquid oxygen is not allowed, and the airlines no longer provide it.
Okay.
And when they did, it was $150 per leg of your trip. So that made it financially very difficult for patients to fly. Patients and researchers and clinicians and industry and everybody came together to form the first ever national COPD action plan. That was a couple of years ago. It took place at the NHLBI.
Okay.
And we all worked together to come up with a national action plan. It needs to be funded.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, I have gone in the past with RTs to lobby. I'm going next month with the COPD Foundation for a lobby day. We hope to get more funding to put this action plan into action. Right now, you know, it's there, it's on paper.
Sure.
One thing that advocates have done is to get a question about COPD added to the BRIFIS survey that's nationwide.
Okay.
There was a question about cardiovascular events. There was a question about diabetes. There was a question about 4 or 5 chronic diseases that were quite prevalent, but there was never anything about COPD.
Wow.
That has now been added so that we know the impact we know how many people are impacted now. We didn't used to know.
Well, so, you know, your point's well taken that advocacy and purposeful advocacy, right, goes a
Yes.
long way.
Yes.
And the AARC and the FSRC have worked really, really hard. And just recently, we actually had a bill that was just released into Congress, right?
Yep.
So it's HR 2508,
Yeah.
which allows respiratory therapists to be recognized as telehealth care practitioners.
Finally.
And yes, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
But we're coming up to a key time to where we need to ramp up our advocacy, let our elected officials know about this bill, and really make some headway so that we can make the progress that we need to be able to make.
Absolutely. And if there's anything that patients can do, just let us know. I'll get the word out to the patients. And because I belong to several Facebook support groups and several listservs, we'll get out there. Maybe we can't go to DC, all of us, but we can write letters, we can email, we can, we can do a lot of things.
There are ways for your voices to be heard.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, and so, the whole key point for this is for us to come together, both patients and care providers together, to let our voice be heard to a population that we know is prevalent out there. There's a tremendous need, but not a lot of resource and not a lot of support. So it has been a tremendous pleasure to sit down and talk to you, to have you share your story with me personally and with the rest of our T Nation. And I hope that we get a chance to work together in the future.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
All right. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
All right.